Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Evolve Exchange. I'm Courteney Kettyle, here with Paul Fletcher, and we've got a guest from Dubber this time. We've got Kerry Travers.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on today, guys. Really exciting to be part of the next episode of the Evolve Exchange. Just a quick introduction from me. My name's Kerry Travers. I'm Partner Director at Dubber for Evolve IP. And what that means is I work with Evolve IP's resellers in unlocking more value from their existing conversations.
Great. And can you tell us a little bit about how you work with the communications analytics?
So, predominantly we are a call recording platform and we've moved into the conversation intelligence world. So we integrate with platforms like Teams, WebEx and even Zoom. And how we integrate with those is that we're a platform that sits on top of that and we analyse the call data that comes in. The problem is, or the real life scenario that we're in at the moment is everyone makes calls, business calls, personal calls, but people don't know how to analyse them currently. And there's so much data that's sat up there in the cloud that can be used to make business decisions.
Businesses are having thousands of conversations every day. Why are those conversations so valuable?
Predominantly it's always been about call recording, right? And then call recordings just sat there in the cloud and they've used it for compliance or for governance reasons, whereas now we're trying to tap into that data. Just from, looking at calls, you can understand where the complaints are coming in, different sales teams or even customer success. So you can use that data to use tangible business decisions.
Yeah, it's taking conversations that, as you say, historically, you didn't even know what your agents are necessarily talking about on the hand. I only record you because I record 1 in 10 because I need to train somebody, or I need to have, as you say, compliance for, giving out financial information or whatever it might be. But having that analysis of the call makes training easier because it means somebody doesn't necessarily have to sit there, find the one call that has got a good example on. You're using your tools, it's scraping every call that's ever gone through the platform and picking out the relevant pieces as well. So
Absolutely.
You could have a 45-minute conversation. Actually, the only thing that's relevant from a training point of view is 3 minutes of it. You've burnt 45 minutes in listening to a conversation, and actually you only got that like 1-2% of the call that's relevant that you actually want to pick up on. So
Absolutely.
by using those tools, you can scrape the information quicker. It's less resource heavy on physical human activity as well.
Yeah, and what you'll find as well when you start to look at that data is you'll start to see trends that are happening, whereas if you're listening to calls or if you're going through manual work, you're often more reactive than proactive. So this data enables you to not only look for tangible things that you can use, but also see where the trends lie and how you can improve in that way. And it's so much more cost effective and less time consuming.
Yeah, and those improvements could be anything from, it's not just improving that phone call conversation or what's being spoken about and improving my scripts if I'm a sales agent. It's, customer service levels. If you're seeing peaks of calls because delivery times are expanded or the quality of a certain product, you can proactively go out and go, okay, we've had a massive spike in calls with regarding to the quality of X item. We need to go and revisit that earlier rather than having to wait until everyone starts returning the product. You can proactively get out there, product recalled if you needed to or whatever. That's only going to make your customer service better because you're on the front foot rather than waiting for thousands of people to return a product or speak to you about something that's gone wrong.
Absolutely.
You can get ahead of that sort of game as well. So from a customer service point of view, it's only makes your customers' experience better, even though it's negative. It might be a negative connotation why they've contacted you, but actually you're making that experience better. And then as you say, that intelligence that you're getting, you should hopefully see that by the end of a call, it's going to improve rather than be the down detractor that it probably started off with.
Absolutely, and the data that you get from the calls is facts, right? Because it's actual conversations that are happening rather than, guesswork or even he said, she said. It's compliance. You can actually use it for facts and like I said before, business decisions as well.
What challenges do organisations face when they don't have visibility into their voice and communication data?
Yeah, so at the moment they're going in blindly. So they're making decisions or they're looking at decisions not based on facts, but based on hearsay or reactive decisions. Whereas having the visibility allows you to be proactive and then actually go on facts rather than fiction as well.
I guess also it kind of alleviates that black holeness, or sometimes it could just be the agent's notes in a CRM field that is their interpretation of how that conversation has gone, or their interpretation of what's been said.
Yeah.
Particularly if they're doing notes at wrap up, they're not necessarily doing the notes during the conversation that they're having. So actually, they may misinterpret something. They may miss the most vital part of the initial phone call in the first place, and you're relying on somebody's memory or somebody's note taking ability to actually get across to people that are completely blind to that call, because they're not sat in listening. We're not having listeners over our shoulder on every phone call that we have. So it allows that information to be accurate as well, and as you say, factual.
And that's a great example that you use, because you're using it in a sales environment, or even like, it doesn't have to necessarily be just sales, but it's any actions or notes from a meeting. But I can use for an example in sales, as a partner director, or technical account manager, you're having a lot of structured calls which has a lot of information on there. Also with the analytics and the insights, you can use that for follow-ups and making sure accuracy in certain situations, and you've got different tasks that you need to follow up, so it just helps you with being more organised and being more factual, more prompt as well.
Yes.
Are you seeing more demand for insights across different teams, not just contact centres?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a conversations that's big at the moment, especially in like Kettyle, they're talking about it. So like AI agents, AI intelligence, it's starting to become a necessity rather than a nice to have, just because of the analytics and data with responsible AI. And, in this sort of world, it's becoming the norm, even with transcription and sentiment. There's so much you can do with that I think even a year ago we didn't realise that we can do. So yeah, we're seeing it a lot in more smaller businesses now rather than just the enterprise, in teams like, again, I've mentioned sales teams, they use it definitely for, coaching, and if you're a manager and you want to understand like where you can improve, and then even like complaints if you want to improve your NPS score. So I know many customers, that's their goal. How can we improve our NPS scores? And I think calls never really was a way to get a support or get an answer on that. It used to be based on review of just the customer, whereas now you can use this sort of analytics to improve your NPS score with your customers.
Yeah, I think what's been really useful as well is people that want to get into that AI journey, but they don't know what they want AI to do for them, because again, they don't really know what's being spoken about.
Exactly.
And the easy one potentially in hospitality or any small business is they get frustrated, or they don't want to spend all their time doing those easy FAQs, but they're not actually able to identify what FAQs are being asked of their agents constantly.
Yeah.
And actually having this this tool running in the background will allow you to pick out constant questions that are being asked, which then allows you to use an AI agent to we open 9 till 5 Monday to Friday, and we shut bank holidays. It can automatically do that. Or you can pad out your knowledge base on your website, and it makes your website become a place of knowledge rather than just a signpost of where to contact other people. It actually starts to build out content itself. So it's relevant from any size business, from a one-man band to 1,000 user contact center. If you can pick out the information that your customers want to know and get it to them in a more easier or quicker way to receive that information or digest that information, it is second to none in terms of getting that out. And again, it's not labor intensive. Your tool, your GUI is bringing it to the fore. We can see it instantly, and then I can just pull that information out and publish that and use it very quickly where I need to.
Exactly. And how long would it take you before this to get that information, get someone to, and always it's updating, right? It's ever changing, especially in the tech world that we're in. So T's and C's change, the way the QAs change, so we're wanting to, how can we basically improve the business quickly?
Yeah.
So
can you share an example of a customer using Dubber to gain better insights for their conversations?
Yeah, so Dubber actually specialise quite a lot in verticals. So we see that our core verticals would be like automotive, financial, legal, even public sector, these sort of sectors. sometimes and mainly because of the compliance side of things as well. So with our product, we have like premium APIs that can help with auditing and all the compliance side of things as well. But compliance aside, especially in the financial industry, we have a lot where we have consultants that are dealing with quite sensitive information. They have to, make sure they adhere to certain parts of the process, shall we say. And what we find with financial services is they're using it, again, in-house for NPS scores or making sure that they're covering certain parts. And again, even with the sales and the support team, to making sure that is the customer actually happy with the service? Are we adhering to what we said we'd do? How can we make it better? So I'd say, yeah, we see a lot in financial services, retail as well. So retail, we find that they have maybe call centres, inbound, outbound calls. Any company that makes inbound, outbound calls, we can do a lot with, but especially in retail, because they have different areas. They have obviously like head office where they take a lot of orders, and they have disputes especially. So when they dispute that there's an order that hasn't been received or hasn't been processed properly, then the team can have a look and say, okay, well, maybe is that a customer or is it our departments, or where's the missing puzzle? So we kind of piece that with a glue between the two.
Yeah, I guess from a compliance specifically in the sort of financial industry, insurance industries, it's not just if someone's missed something, it's not just that, oops, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell them that. There's a pound note difference on that. You could be
Hundreds.
sued, fined,
Exactly.
if everything's wrong. So, and again, maybe doing compliance officers a little bit out of a job or making their life easier. Again, it means they can process so much more, so much quicker. And I guess that's a common theme to everything I keep saying. But it's not about job replacement. Again, everyone worries about AI. It's not about that.
It's to enhance.
Exactly. It's about making you more productive, making your life easier.
Yeah.
It's all about that work smarter, not harder, right? We all want more time back in our lives and days to do things that we want to do. And like you say, if I'm having to audit 150 people that are selling insurance every day to make sure they've stuck to the script at the end of the call, to make sure the customer's well aware that we're FCA regulated and they're and this is X term and Y condition. These are your exclusions and your excess policies, etc. Whatever that might be, that needs to be recorded. That needs to be noted. You need to ensure that you're compliant. Otherwise, it's quite expensive if you miss that even on one call, let alone if you're missing it on hundreds.
And then also, like, compliances aside, so obviously you've got like MiFID 2 and the other compliances, but even just like you said, to protect revenue and everything, if there was a dispute, how much would that cost you if something if didn't adhere to what they said? And I think lots of financial or even legal sectors, they can count up the pounds of how much they have gone through these disputes. And sometimes, as we go back to the reactive part, it's a bit too late. So how can we learn from those scenarios and then move forward? We're all kind of using AI. Well, majority of us are. Isn't, and just to go back onto what you said, it's not to replace jobs, it's to enhance and to do things a lot more at scale, rather than like just monitoring like little bits here and there. So
it's to free up that boring admin side so that the work that you're doing is more accurate and more precise, and you're not having to be like dumbed down with all this admin and things that AI can help speed up, so then your time's being used more wisely.
Absolutely. And again, it's understanding like the type of AI as well, because I think we are going through a transition period. A lot of people, maybe from the original generation, from when telco came out originally, and as I said, tech is ever evolving. People are questioning and intrigued more about AI. We do get questions a lot in like the legal and public sector about how secure is your AI and stuff like that. So it's always quite reassuring that we've got a good story to tell on responsible AI, and it's not just an LLM. So all the data, all the metadata is accurate, we're stored in secure places, so data is always secure. But then it's definitely understanding the difference between a ChatGPT and then also double AI as well, and what that actually means, and that's what double are here for. That's to support educating partners like Evolve and their resellers in transitioning through that world of, okay, we know about AI, but what does that mean for our customers, and how can we jump on the bandwagon and make sure that everyone else understands it as well?
Yeah. It's making sure, as you say, it's stored securely, correctly, but just make sure you apply it to the right things at the right time. There's like I think we've discussed it on other episodes, but AI is a little bit of a science experiment. You know, you don't really, if you're going into it going, I don't really know what outcome I want from this, you're never really going to get the outcome that you want. But if you implement it knowing you want to get to X, but you constantly check in on it to make sure you're going in the right way, or so you can tweak it and adapt it to where you want to get to, then it's a useful tool. Some people just go, I want AI because I've been told I need AI, and if you don't know where you want to get to, you're never gonna get there.
Well, this is why, and I said at the beginning, that's why we're moving away from call recording to conversation intelligence, because just a similar way to saying that they don't really know is call recording for one thing. It's either yes, we need it, or no, we don't. So I think with the way that we are moving with the world with AI, it's a much more nicer, easier conversation to have around intelligence when you really understand customer pain points, what they're needing. Because sometimes the biggest struggle is asking the question, because if you've got a requirement for compliance, that's a completely different type of requirement. If you're, how do you deal with your complaints, or how are you monitoring your sales, or have you actually monitored the uplift of your sales within the last couple of weeks from your sales team, or who's your top salesperson? Why? Oh, because, you know. So I think, yeah, we're all going through a transition at the moment as well, so it's quite an exciting part to be in, be at the forefront of it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to why we get Dubber to integrate into the core of our very platform, because, as you say, it's not just call recording, so it's not just about those physical plastic phones on a desk being recorded, it's about being everywhere in the ecosystem. So it's recording those hard plastic handsets, but it's also recording Teams calls, WebEx calls, Teams meetings.
Exactly.
And then even if we went that one step further, when we bundle in our FMC product, you're now call recording on, or analysing the conversations that I had on a mobile phone, not via an app, so not via the WebEx or Teams app. It's everything. It's that whole customer ecosystem can be analysed and ensured that you're getting all the data that, because it's not just, as you say, it's not just those basic calls anymore that come into that bit of plastic on your desk. There's a whole ecosystem around conversations that happen in 3, 4, 5 different technologies.
Yeah.
And it's really important to why we bring you into the very middle of Evolve's platforms, so you can touch on everything that we do and provide the same level of detail on a mobile call as you can on a receptionist that's sat with her Polycom, as you can with a CEO who's holding a Teams conference.
Exactly, and the nice thing about it all as well is it's all a single pane of glass. So you'll be able to say, for instance, a good example that you had is I would say we use Teams internally for meetings. So any endpoint, like my phone or my laptop or my tablet or meeting room, so they're recorded on all of the endpoints. And so if I'm doing my Teams meetings and then I'm doing like a WebEx video call, or I've got WebEx which is where my phone system's on, then with our platform obviously you can record on multi-platforms in one place, so you don't, again, for management, you don't have to go, right, okay, I need to log in for that platform or that platform. I can just see per user all the calls they've made, and then it's at one place. So again, it's just of ease as well.
Yeah, simple setup, simple administration.
Have you seen customers uncover insights that they weren't expecting whilst using Dubber?
Yeah, all the time. And I think that's the exciting part about it is, again, just going back, a lot of people don't realise that they need it or it's a requirement until they've had it. And I think until someone positions a question and says, how are you monitoring that? And they're like, not very well, but it's never been a problem because I've dealt with it. And then what they've uncovered a lot mainly is, you know, with the complaints that have come through, analytics, again, on sales. So there's been so many scenarios where we go through with the customer and say, okay, so this is the analytics from the metadata that you've got, this is the outcomes, and everyone's pleasantly surprised actually with the outcomes.
How are these insights helping businesses improve customer experience or internal processes?
So yeah, I'll cover both sides actually. So depending on who the customer is, what department they're working in, what the role it is, depends completely what they want to get out of the call, which is it's not one glove fits all. So you may hear Dubber mention moments. Moments is a question that you'd want to ask yourself or the customer. What is it that you want to get out of your calls? What is it that you want to understand from that data? And we define that in moments. So whether that's the sales manager and he wants to understand his sales team and whether he's got an SDR team or account managers, if there's a process that he wants to follow, then the sales manager would look at the sales close moments. Or if we've got a complaints manager who wants to understand the complaints that come in, whether there are recurring complaints that come in, then he can look at the complaint side of things. So again, it really depends on the type of customer and their role, but it literally varies.
Yeah, I think sentiment analysis is something that's probably overlooked sometimes. And you're thinking of that internal process. If you look at, irrespective of what team or group is contacted, if every call always starts on a negative standpoint, is it because your IVR message is too long? Is your IVR too complex? Have I had to press 4 key presses to get to the department I want to speak to? Like that sentiment, very, very early on, they may be coming to place a really nice big order with you, and actually they're really happy to spend that money, and it's quite an emotive thing, and they're very pleased. But if they've had to wait so long, or if they've had to press, your menus have been confusing, they've been passed from department to department.
They've been shouting on the hold, like number 8.
Yeah, exactly. That sentiment analysis is there immediately, and then that is such a soft win, but such an easy thing to fix as well. If you, again, going back to your point earlier, if you're operating in that sort of black hole of nothingness and knowing what's going on, you're never going to fix that. And actually, that could be something that's turning off people even talking to you. So you're not even recording the bits of that people may have just given up and not come through to you. But because you're snapping that on enough conversations, you can make that tweak. You can make that experience and that journey for your customers more seamless. That actually, when you start your phone calls, you start on a green score and you're quite high and you keep it there, rather than your agents having to work harder to bring that person back up.
But then also you can monitor the success of whether it goes from negative sentiment to positive sentiment. So if you're constantly still having negative sentiment all the way through, even if you have changed the IVR or whatever, and the complaints are coming through, you can actually monitor to what success that you've had from negative to positive. So that's why sentiment's really interesting, because it's not about tone of voice. It's again, and we'll go back to the responsible AI bit as well, because it is the sentiment around the business functionalities as well. So it's not just Kerry's complaining that the weather's been raining every day in January, then okay, there's kind of a negative sentiment, but it's not really work related, so you wouldn't really tarnish it against the business. Whereas if Kerry's delivery hasn't come for like 3 weeks now, and then the customer says, okay, well, we'll get one out next day, or we'll order you some sort of discount or something like that, and then my sentiment is more positive, then you can start analysing and listening to how the user or how the agent overcome those objections. So it's really interesting.
How do Evolve IP and Dubber work together to deliver insight-led solutions for customers?
As we said earlier, we integrate into Evolve IP Core Network, and then we also integrate in Teams and WebEx solutions. So they provide the UC side of things, and then we provide the analytics as a solution. So we're not separate, we're part of a full solution, and the end goal is to support the customer and their businesses and how to improve them, make it more tangible.
Yeah, and we often run like co-marketing campaigns to get those messages across. We can sit on meetings together with Dubber, Evolve, our partners, our end users, to really dig under the surface of what you're looking to get out of it. Because as Kerry said before, it's not call recording anymore. It's not a tick box exercise. It's actually a full solution discussion. Like what do you actually want to gain? What intelligent your call recording? You're call recording for a purpose.
Yeah.
So what do you want to call record for? And then we can have those further conversations in terms of how we can bring the insights piece into actually making it a worthwhile solution, rather than just go, yeah, we can call record and we'll keep it in the cloud for 12 months. cool, you happy with that? That's
No, there's
that
way
that kind
more.
of sales is gone now.
Yeah, exactly.
And people are bored of that conversation, and customers are turned off from that conversation because I can go and spec that on a website. I don't need to talk to anyone about that. So what value are you adding to this conversation? And that's where we can bring Dubber in, our solutions team in, your partner managers in, to really drive those conversations forward. And that's why it's important to have the relationships that we do.
And we are, and again, it's really important that you said that, because I think we had a conversation offline around a lot of resellers are moving into the MSP world. They're becoming more solution sell rather than product sell. And we are an evolving industry, right? Excuse the pun, evolve. But I think it's the transition period. So this is where I support, and we've got a partner engagement team who work alongside Evolve IP's resellers in any opportunities, uncovering any opportunities. I also offer sales enablement to support in driving sales so that we can help the resellers and their account managers understand the value that Dubber brings. Because if everyone's still kind of in that mindset of, okay, let's sell our core product, I offer sales enablement where, because I think we're all in that mindset of, okay, we know the world of AI is coming, like, but how can we change the mindsets of customers and resellers in asking those pain point questions, like around the business outcomes and value, and that's where I would come in as an extension to Evolve, work with partners, getting them to understand that, and then full on our partner engagement team will support them ongoing as well. So always supportive for our partners.
What updates or innovations are you most excited about right now?
So we're all in the world of ChatGPT and Copilot, and even with Google is Gemini AI. So we're starting to ask questions in like a natural language way, like tell me how many times Kerry says that she loves her job, for example. You know, it'll be over 100 times that she says it in one day. But no, jokes aside, but you can start asking those questions that you want. So tell me how many complaints has come in the last week that wasn't resolved, or tell me how many sales has improved within the last 2 weeks, and discussing Dubber. So then you can start actually having a look through that. Beforehand, you would be able to keyword search, which is great, and then you've got our moments, which defines those topics and conversations within them. But this is like a fantastic source where it analyzes all of the data, all of the calls, and then it literally spits out the answer, and then gives you scenarios of how many times Kerry says she loves her job, and then all the calls, so you can start listening to them, and then record from the place of that you want to listen to. So I think us moving into that world is really exciting. It opens up a lot of doors for many different verticals, even more than the ones that we have. So we're working a lot with the automotive industry, and they can start asking so many natural language searches around car sales, or any that they've lost out on, or where can they improve. The questions are endless, because if you just want to know something about your business, you just ask it. Agentic AI Agent is a really exciting new product. It's been in launch for the last 6 months, so really excited to bring it out, and I think it's going to be a big game changer for us and potential customers as well, and existing customers that are already on the platform.
And finally, what advice would you give to organisations just starting to explore conversational analytics?
Yeah, so don't hold back on it. It's all about visibility, right? I think a lot of us didn't really know exactly how much data is available. I think the more that you understand about what's going on with the business proactively rather than reactively, you'll start realising that, again, just like some of the enterprises and some of those more advanced, larger scale companies that are already doing it, you can then start acting and reacting just like those. So I think don't overthink it. I mean, AI is here to stay, it's here to grow. Embrace it, be part of it, know your stuff. We're here to support you.
Thank you all for joining us for the latest episode of the Evolve Exchange. We've been delighted to have Kerry here talking all about Dubber and the possibilities that it can offer our customers and partners. Join me, Courtney, and Paul for our next episode on the Evolve Exchange.